Let's be honest, we all have tried bit strips and made avatars of ourselves. We lived physically, but when such technologies emerged, we were enchanted by the vastness of creating a virtual home for ourselves. And today, our presence is more in that world than the real one, with people buried in their phones competing with others on whose social media looks more aesthetic. This reality got a new name with Facebook rebranding its identity to Meta. So today, we'll take you on a tour on the Metaverse, and more importantly, how Disney, a stakeholder in the Metaverse technologies, made deadly moves for the Metaverse, how it all came down within less than a year, how thousands of people suffered at the hands of big people's rash decisions. So hop on the ride to explore how Disney killed Metaverse. First things first, what really is this buzzword? For a little context, the term Metaverse generally refers to a collective virtual shared space that combines physical and virtual reality. This means things like users interacting with each other in digital environments in real time, but in a way that is much like being in a video game. You can imagine this as various interconnected virtual spaces, platforms, and we could have out-of-the-world experiences if we think about its potential. But first, let's focus on how big companies like Disney saw an opportunity with the Metaverse. So, back in the middle of 2021, when the concept of the Metaverse was still evolving, Disney was looking into ways to create Metaverse-like experiences related to their intellectual properties, characters, and franchises, especially since Mark Zuckerberg was pouring billions of dollars into this meta concept of social media. They were interested in introducing things like online communities, interactive games, and immersive storytelling to make their own virtual reality innovations, possibly to stay ahead of the competition. But what happened next will shock you. So as we already know, this is nothing new. It was November of 2021. The Walt Disney CEO Bob Chapek had just announced that they'd been making efforts to connect the physical and digital world, giving a new tangent to storytelling without any boundaries in Disney's own metaverse. In Bob's words to the analysts, the vision was clear. Our efforts to date are merely a prologue to a time when we'll be able to connect the physical and digital worlds even more closely, allowing for storytelling without boundaries in our own Disney metaverse. And we look forward to creating unparalleled opportunities for consumers to experience everything Disney has to offer across our products and platforms, wherever the consumer may be. This means they were planning to bring the Meta technology in both their studio division as well, the theme park division. This was evident when Disney's former executive vice president Tilak Mandadi created an uproar with his LinkedIn post stating that they were excited to create a theme park metaverse where physical and digital worlds merged. So for their theme park division, Disney's plan was to essentially make use of wearable devices, smartphones, and digital access points to materialize this idea. Because this project intended to take animation to another level by planning to introduce a virtual and surreal experience of realizing fantasy to all the Disney lovers in the world, not just those who had the theme park experience. So for their studio creations, fans could meet and interact with the 3D models of their favorite Disney characters and experience the whole Disney world sitting in their comfort space. Basically, we were going to have the whole Disney world, its fantasy, its characters, the theme parks, films, and other attractions in our living rooms. Doesn't that sound exciting? And these plans were set up with Disney already having the Metaverse genius and their theme park veteran, Mike White, who they hired as their first Metaverse division executive. But it wasn't Mike's fault what happened next. Or was it? Let's see. Everything seemed to be going well within the Meta innovation, but these big companies were depending on a big assumption. To elaborate, we have to see the stats of virtual reality technology. The futuristic technology of the Metaverse will still take years to go mainstream. This is testing the patience of all the big tech companies who have invested big money on these innovative forms of entertainment. Even with Meta spending billions on the Oculus headset to construct the Metaverse, people are showing low demand and general confusion about how to use the new technology for anything other than gaming. Now Zuckerberg is repeatedly asking investors to trust him and to play the long game by being patient. This may seem promising, but Disney's directors weren't trusting, and hence the world saw news flashes like Disney kills Metaverse. It went down in March 2023. Disney made headlines of how it has been laying off its entire division handling the Metaverse plans. Over 7,000 people lost their jobs as a part of cost-cutting plans. This turned out to be a major blow for the ambitious Metaverse plans curated by the Disney team. If reports are to be quoted, apparently Disney never had any defined plan for this Metaverse project to begin with. From fantasy sports to theme park attractions, there was so much discussed with regards to Disney and its Metaverse universe. To think that 7,000 people lost their jobs out of nowhere hits hard in crumbling economies. An ambitious project like this not only ended the dreams but the livelihoods of people who had their hopes with Disney's Metaverse. Considering this fiasco, you must be thinking, what went so wrong in their plans that they had to close it down? Surely it wasn't all because Zuckerberg's Meta seems to not be taking off. Let's take a deeper look. There's no doubt that the concept of virtual reality seems exciting. Disney's Metaverse idea was spectacular and had immense potential to begin with. But was it all worth it? Disney is not just a simple thing for people. It runs on nostalgia and is highly an emotion-based concept, which is key for marketing, so they'd have handled the demand issue just fine. And to think that people would prefer Disney's physical experience better than virtual would be just a speculation, until this happened. When the news of Disney investing in Metaverse came out, the Disney fanbase was not holding back to express their surprising displeasure. They didn't consider it a good investment. People on Twitter shared mixed opinion, mostly showing how it was annoying for Disney to think this was some genius idea. Reddit is also loaded with people having the same reactions upon receiving the news of Disneyland coming in the Metaverse. And just after a year, Disney announced the shutting down of Metaverse. But this wasn't the only reason. An analyst by the name of Scott Kessler pointed to a likely explanation: the Metaverse may not reach critical mass anytime soon since AI and assistants were now becoming more relevant and highly sought after. It's actually sad that it all ended like this, especially since a lot of hard work was put into this project. Microsoft had become an effective partner of Disney for the Metaverse projects. But instead of Metaverse, people like the Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella are increasingly interested in artificial intelligence, investing a whopping $10 billion into AI. This conflicting interest in two different technologies that were on the rise made it difficult for Disney to know if they were making the right move going into this project. And considering the unsteady future of Metaverse, AI apparently seemed like a safer option, but it was a tad late to realize it for Disney. So for now, Disney doesn't seem to have any plans to continue with Metaverse, and the only statement that came was that they had to conduct these rounds of layoff to cut costs. And Disney might argue that the uncertain economic conditions are to be blamed for this decision. We can't ignore the fact that the Metaverse still doesn't have as much attention from people as AI does right now. Users are still very much ignorant towards the Metaverse in the virtual world business, which makes this whole concept clearly a risky investment. So what to expect now that the Metaverse project is sidelined but not cancelled? Some people actually were also pumped to see this happen, and those will be the ones telling you never say never. And we could say it may very well be renewed, as Disney did claim that it was cutting costs as part of a broader reconstruction. This reconstruction bit tells us they are open to opportunities. And while Meta is still very much invested in the virtual world and adamant towards leading the world to adopt this reality, this journey is far from over. No doubt it's going to be a long journey. But with the emergence of technologies like 5G and VR, augmented reality advancements, the wheels are moving forward. At the end of the day, what Disney does with its idea of Metaverse depends on user experience, their acceptance of virtual reality, and of course capital, loads and loads of investment. However, we hope that companies like Disney don't recreate history with these layoffs. Let's not forget that the company faced a loss of millions of dollars invested in this project earlier. For sure, they'd not want to repeat the history. But Disney, like many other companies who've tried their hands on Metaverse, have realized that it is a struggle, and there is no one specific way to create the world of Metaverse. Experts are showing confidence in the potential for Metaverse, but Meta corporations struggle with creating functional VR devices only tells us it's going to take time. But the real question is, as a consumer of Disney, do you think they should create their Metaverse and take their creativity to the virtual front? What would happen if the Metaverse did get fully released in the future with such forms of entertainment? Most importantly, would you try it out? Do tell us in the comments below. Also hit like if you enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to subscribe and turn the notifications because we release new videos on exciting tech topics every week. That's it for today, so we'll see you all in the next one.